Hello, everybody. Oh, I didn't put my sign on. We're not open yet. There we are. Hey, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. So, the story of the 24/7. Let me just show you. Basically, the 24/7 channel was doing great. And then I had somebody who was doing some yard work in the front and trying to remove, basically there's a bunch of poison ivy in the front and I'm very allergic to it. And at some point, my internet went out because they accidentally cut my fiber line. And so there was somebody that came to fix it very quickly, but this is their stopgap fix. So this is the cable box all the way, or the internet box all the way to where they had to hook it up on a hub. So watch this. So you get to see what the outside yard is. So there's all the stones that were basically pulled. Now we're on the street. This is Tyler Road, where the archive is located. Then we turn the corner, and now we're going down a block. And we're still going. And we're still going. And we're now on a totally different street. And then right there is where they hooked into. So my takeaway with this is when I left the person who was working on the fiber, they were trying to find the hub on my street that they could tap into, and they didn't have the right equipment to figure it out. So they dug some holes, and I don't think they found it. So they were like, well, I'm going to get this person internet. So this is my stopgap measure. So because our internet stream is based on something that is basically a block long, it's possible that it could be taken down because somebody could be, I don't know, going like, what the hell is this orange cable doing in front of my house? And so we're just going to ride it and see what happens, and then I'm hoping there's going to be a follow-up where they actually do find the hub, and then they don't have to do, but we'll see what happens. So anyways, let's watch Sand and Steel. Enjoy.
This is an American fighter bomber attacking a communist installation in Vietnam. Its firepower is accurate and deadly. Successful air thrust into areas that have been under the Viet Cong control is lifting the spirits of the Allies. The American air arm hits hard and continuously, and it hits the Cong where it hurts the most, right in his own front yard. This fighter jet was designed for air support, capable of delivering bombs, rockets, and guided missiles. It takes a professional pilot with courage and skill to get this high-speed jet in low enough and close enough to make each shot count. The jets have made direct hits and inflicted severe damage and destruction upon the enemy. Home for these Skyhawks could be the flight deck of a powerful Navy carrier at sea, or Da Nang with its permanent runways. Or it could be this unfinished Marine airstrip at Chu Lai, a flying field carved in 26 days out of an obscure beach in South Vietnam. In length, it's the size of 3 flat tops laid end to end. Even unfinished, it's fully operational. This field was built primarily for Marine support aircraft. Each piece is portable. The control tower can be picked up and moved by a helicopter. The arresting gear was hauled from the beach by a tractor trailer. The runway comes in a truck, in sections. It can support the heaviest transport plane. An instant airfield, built to accommodate more traffic than most stateside airports. But a month ago, there was no Chu Lai. Just sand, heat, more sand. And Marine determination to build an airfield. It all started here on this unnamed beach on the China Sea. For these Marines, it's just another landing, 10,000 miles from home. To them, this was nothing new, nothing different. They've been doing it opposed and unopposed for almost 200 years. This mission, seize and defend enough real estate to build an airfield. It sounds simple. It is, for professionals. The helicopter hasn't changed the idea behind the amphibious assault. It's just added a new dimension. Marines arrive in helicopters from Navy carriers at sea, sealing the approaches to the beachhead. The object? Find the Viet Cong, engage him, destroy him, or drive him off. But at Chu Lai, he couldn't be found. The guerrilla chose not to fight. Seabees move in right behind the Marines. They find their enemy, sand. Sand so deep, even powerful earth movers bog down. Under the sand, the ground is flat, but the Seabees want it flatter. For the matting, it comes in sections. Interlocking aluminum planks that weigh 144 pounds and can stand the impact of a fully loaded giant cargo plane. This is hot, hard work. The sand is always there. The Seabees curse it, fight it, but still, it has to be moved. The entire area around the airfield has to be searched and patrolled. The Marines give themselves little rest. The Viet Cong can be allowed no sanctuary. For 2 years, this was his sanctuary. The Marines have to find him, root him out. The villagers help. They fear the Viet Cong reprisals, but they do help by pointing out the Cong hiding places. The Marines find traces of the enemy, medical stores, communist propaganda. caches of food. And the gorilla himself, a tough, trained enemy. Innocent looking, but deadly. Marines patrol deep into the brush searching for gorillas. It's a hot, dirty, frustrating job. Frequent breaks are necessary. Water is a precious item. You can drink it or cool off with it. Each man carries his pantry on his back. And sometimes his meal is interrupted. The Marines pursue the enemy. He's elusive. This is his territory, and he knows it well. Well enough to hit, run, and then vanish. While the Marines hunt the Viet Cong, the airfield is growing. The Marines even give it a name. They call it Chu Lai. Sand hills vanish, and depressions are filled. Each interlocking panel is designed to fit perfectly into place. Almost. Hour by hour, the strip takes shape. It is now almost 3,500 feet long. In the days to follow, the CBs will more than double its length. But a combat airfield needs more than a runway. It needs a mirror landing system and arresting gear, like that used on aircraft carriers. It needs refueling points, revetments to protect airplanes, a tank farm for fuel, complete to the last detail. Everything necessary is now in place. Ready, waiting. The control tower is in radio contact with the incoming flight and has cleared it to land. Chu Lai's newest arrival, a fast, sleek Skyhawk, comes screaming in for a landing. These jets are only the first combat Marine attack squadrons to be based at this field. Four hours from now, these same jets will be launched for their first strike mission in support of ground forces. The airfield at Chu Lai is now alive. The Skyhawks have a home. It is now the ground crew's turn to take over. Their job is to refuel, arm, and get these Marine jets into the air war as soon as possible. Chu Lai is operating like a well-oiled machine. It hardly seems possible that this busy, portable combat airbase was landed, uncrated, and operating in just a matter of weeks. And, if necessary, it could be moved again to any trouble spot in the world. This combat airfield is hungry. Its enormous appetite consumes tons of supplies each day. Necessary supplies to sustain thousands of men and their machines. Many items must be delivered daily to keep Chu Lai operational. Fuel for jets. high-velocity air-to-ground rockets, 20-millimeter shells for aircraft cannon, and food, usually sea rations. Water, and lots of it. And most important of all, fresh replacements. For the first time in weeks, there is an opportunity to relax. A chance to really wash off the sand and dirt. And letters to write home as often as possible. Young Americans look forward to receiving a package of anything. They convert their pay to money orders and send it home for another time, another place. Young Marines soon learn the value of seemingly trivial things. Clean socks, a haircut, clean teeth, and a shave. Around the perimeter, the patrols into the hills or deep into the hot jungles continue. Some dig in and wait, watchful, ready. At Chulai, they must endure the tropic heat and the discomfort of foxholes scratched in the sand. They call themselves pick and shovel architects, and the term fits. These men are all willing to face hardships and danger anywhere their country or corps sends them. As Americans, they are defending their right to live and believe as they choose. And they're pledged to defend the same right for others. Pledged to make good an American promise to the people of South Vietnam. A part of this promise stands here on the sands of Chulai, the result of American determination to build an airfield, sand and steel.
I missed who made that film. I don't think it was made by the military because they thanked all the military at the end. But yeah, straight up propaganda here, but definitely there's value in it, and what they were saying was true in many cases, but of course it was very one-sided. Yeah, anyways, we're just going to keep going with, let's see, what is this? Yeah, alright. Let's learn about the principles of X-rays. Enjoy.
Before 1800, when Herschel infrared rays, the visible spectrum was an isolated phenomenon. In 1801, Young discovered diffraction, proving the wave nature of light. In 1873, Maxwell published his comprehensive wave theory. In 1887, Hertz discovered radio waves. Röntgen's discovery of X-rays extended our knowledge of the spectrum to the very short wavelengths beyond ultraviolet. With this discovery, he provided a new powerful method of investigation. The rapid advance of modern physics began on the evening of November the 8th, 1895. At the Physical Institute of Würzburg, Röntgen had been studying a paper published by Leonard on the absorption of cathode rays. Leonard had measured the transparency of metals to cathode rays by using a paper indicator coated with fluorescent material. Röntgen repeated the experiment. He placed a shield over a Crookes tube and used a paper coated with barium platinocyanide. As Leonard had reported, the cathode rays caused fluorescence to a distance of 120 centimeters. But suddenly, Röntgen noticed something fluorescing nearly 10 feet away. A letter A, also painted with barium platinocyanide. This was far beyond the range of cathode rays in air, yet there was clearly some connection with the tube. He immediately began experiments to test the nature of this new phenomenon. Röntgen concluded that he had discovered a new kind of ray, and for weeks concentrated his attention on experiments, observing their penetration through a 1,000-page book, through his own hand, and through sheets of various metals. A few days after the discovery, he brought his wife down from their apartment in the Institute and made the first X-ray photograph of a human hand. Röntgen's paper on a new kind of ray was published early in January 1896, and within weeks his results had been confirmed throughout the world by doctors and physicists who took these radiographs of hands. The value of the new photography for medicine was realized immediately by doctors. Many adapted their electrotherapy apparatus for X-ray work. This apparatus, now in the Science Museum, was built in 1896 by a 17-year-old medical student, later Dr. Russell Reynolds, who became a famous radiologist. Radiographic diagnosis was soon accepted as an essential tool for surgery in peace and war. Not without harmful effects. Many radiographers suffered X-ray burns. Some lost fingers and hands. But these very accidents led to the use of X-rays in therapeutic treatment. From early days, attempts were made to provide protection. Now, safety measures are strictly observed. Radiography can be carried out by young women without fear of ill effects. The rays which produced this photograph passed easily through flesh and bone. But we know that light rays, too, pass through solids, such as this Aztec crystal skull. Are X-rays and light so very different? Röntgen showed that his X-rays were caused by the bombardment of the walls of the tube by the cathode rays. He proved that X-rays travel in straight lines, that their intensity is inversely proportional to the square of the distance, in the same way as light, and that they cannot be deflected by a magnetic field. He put forward the theory that they were waves, though he was unable to demonstrate refraction or diffraction of X-rays. The interference patterns shown when light is diffracted through Young's slits are an accepted proof of the wave nature of light. Could X-rays be diffracted? In 1912, von Laue suggested that X-rays might be diffracted if the regular arrangement of atoms in a crystal was used as a diffraction grating. This proved to be so. The Laue patterns are further evidence that X-rays are electromagnetic waves. In 1913, W.H. Bragg used crystal diffraction to measure the wavelengths of X-rays, placing them in the electromagnetic spectrum with wavelengths shorter than ultraviolet light. In the last 160 years, our knowledge of the spectrum has been extended far beyond the narrow band of visible light. Röntgen's discovery of X-rays was a major contribution to this knowledge. X-rays occur naturally in radioactive elements, but an X-ray tube provides a more easily controlled source. This early X-ray tube contained rarefied gas. Gas-filled tubes operate in a similar way to gas discharge tubes. A stream of electrons is built up by ionization of the gas atoms and by ion bombardment of the cathode. In 1913, Dr. Coolidge in USA designed this high vacuum tube in which the stream of electrons comes from a heated cathode. All modern tubes, like this one, work by a similar principle. The X-ray tube has two essential electrodes: the cathode, source of free electrons, and the anode, the target for the stream of bombarding electrons and the source of X-rays. The cathode consists of a wire filament inside a metal tube. To release electrons, the filament is heated by passing through it an electric current at low voltage. When an electrical potential is applied between the cathode, negative, and the anode, positive, the free electrons, being negatively charged particles, are attracted towards the anode. The tube around the filament, also at negative potential, helps to focus the electrons into a beam. When the potential between cathode and anode is made very high, electrons strike the anode with great energy, and X-rays are produced. What is happening at the anode? This is a simplified diagram of atoms on the surface of the anode, each atom having a nucleus and electrons which revolve around the nucleus in orbits at various levels. The nucleus is charged positively, the electrons negatively, so that between them there is a powerful force field which is balanced by the kinetic forces of the electrons. Electrons from the cathode arrive at the anode with energy provided by the voltage across the tube. Some are stopped or slowed down by collisions with the force fields. Like any moving body, when it slows down or stops, an electron must give up energy. It is this energy which becomes X-rays. An electron which strikes a force field head-on gives up all its energy in one photon. Another may make glancing collisions with several force fields and give up part of its energy in each photon. Quantum theory states that the quantity of energy given up in each photon determines the wavelength. When an electron makes a head-on collision, the photon emitted contains all the energy from that electron and so is of short wavelength. The electron which makes glancing collisions gives up energy in several photons of longer wavelengths. No electron can have more energy than the voltage across the tube, so the electron which gives up all its energy in one photon produces the shortest wavelength possible with the given voltage. The spectrum of X-rays produced with a given voltage has therefore a short wavelength limit, X-rays produced in single head-on collisions, and a band of wavelengths extending down into the ultraviolet, produced in glancing collisions. This is known as the continuous or white X-ray band, by analogy with the broad spectrum of white light. A curve showing total energy radiated looks like this. The intensity rises sharply from the short wavelength limit and falls away gradually towards longer wavelengths. In addition to the white X-ray band, the spectrum from an X-ray tube contains narrow line spectra. These are the lines from a tungsten anode. They represent very high energy. What causes the line spectra? A clue to their origin is found by altering the voltage applied to the tube. A higher voltage increases the energy with which the electrons strike the anode. The energy given up in collisions is greater, and the resulting photons of X-rays, having more energy, are of shorter wavelength. As a result, the radiations from the tube show a shift of the short wavelength limit and of the whole white band to shorter wavelengths. But the line spectra stay where they were. Their wavelengths are not altered by an increase of energy in the electrons striking the anode. This is because line spectra are not produced in the same way as the white band X-rays, but by radiations from deep within the atom. The radiations causing line spectra come from the electron orbits near the nucleus. These are named the K level, the L level, the M level, and so on. Normally, the number of electrons in orbits is such that their combined energy balances the nuclear attraction. So the force field is balanced. However, if a cathode electron penetrates the force field and strikes a K-level electron with sufficient, it can knock it right out of the atom. This leaves a vacancy in the K shell, and the force field becomes unbalanced. An L-level electron jumps to fill the vacancy, then an M-level electron to fill this vacancy, and so on until the balance is restored. When an electron jumps from one orbit to another, it must give up energy, just as a satellite does when it falls towards the Earth. The electron gives up energy in the form of X-rays. In a given element, the energy difference between K and L orbits is always the same. Therefore, the amount of energy given up in such a jump is always the same. And since energy determines wavelength, the wavelengths of the K, L, and M lines in the spectrum are fixed for the element. If the anode is of different metal, different lines appear. These are called, therefore, the characteristic X-ray line spectra for the element. Von Laue's hypothesis on the diffraction of X-rays by a crystal lattice has led to an entirely new field of research, X-ray crystallography. This is Bragg's original X-ray spectrometer. It is similar to an optical spectrometer, but uses X-rays instead of light. The X-rays are passed through slits to select a parallel beam. The beam strikes the crystal where it is diffracted. The diffracted rays pass to an ionization chamber, which is adjustable, where their intensity is measured by means of an electroscope. The Bragg method of X-ray spectroscopy depends on the diffraction of X-rays by the atoms arranged in the crystal lattice. X-rays are selected from one of the line spectra so that they are all of one wavelength. The rays are directed onto the atoms in the crystal and are reflected by scattering from each individual atom. At this specific angle, the reflected wavefronts will all be in phase, like the incident wavefronts. This results in constructive interference. But if the reflected wavefronts are selected at a different angle, like this, they will be out of phase and destructive interference will occur between atoms in a crystal. In the same year, using the X-ray spectrometer, Moseley was able to demonstrate the relation between atomic weight and atomic number, to fill in the periodic table of elements, and to forecast the discovery of 3 elements then unknown. With the X-ray spectrometer, W.H. Bragg provided confirmation of quantum theory and laid the foundations for wave mechanics. It has contributed to our knowledge of the structure of complex molecules and provided a precise definition of the electrical charge on one electron. For industry, X-rays provide a non-destructive testing method. Products like these transformers are radiographed to show whether they have been assembled properly. One has a correct, the other an incorrect oil level. This steel plate has been welded across its length. An X-ray shows faults in the weld which might lead to fracture. A casting may appear sound from the outside, but an X-ray reveals bubbles inside the metal. At London Airport, an X-ray unit is available night and day to make emergency or routine examinations of aircraft. Parts which are known to be heavily stressed, like this wing section, are repeatedly X-rayed for fatigue defects. This X-ray shows that no strain had occurred. The first application of X-rays was in medicine, and this is still their widest use. The skilled radiologist can diagnose internal conditions with far greater certainty than can be got from external examination. Recently, a new instrument, the X-ray image intensifier, has provided doctors with a brilliant optical picture with low-intensity dose for the patient. Combined with cineradiography, this makes possible permanent records on film of the functioning of internal parts of the body. Röntgen's X-rays have become a versatile instrument of science. We live in an ocean of electromagnetic waves, and properly interpreted, they can give us a picture of our surroundings far beyond the power of the human eye. It is up to us to learn to interpret them. X-rays are produced when electrons from the cathode strike the anode and give up the energy imparted to them by the voltage across the tube. When many electrons are making head-on or glancing collisions with the force fields of atoms in the anode, the white band or continuous spectrum of X-rays is radiated. In head-on collisions, electrons give up all their energy in one photon and produce the shortest wavelength, corresponding to the voltage applied to the tube. This accounts for the short wavelength limit. Each element, when bombarded with electrons, produces characteristic lines in the X-ray spectrum which identify the element. These lines represent X-rays radiated when orbital electrons jump from one level in the atom to another, lower energy level, and so give up specific quanta of energy. Since the quantum of energy determines the wavelength, these lines have their fixed places in the spectrum. And X-rays take their place in the total spectrum of electromagnetic waves, with wavelengths shorter than those of ultraviolet light.
Well, they can all be adventures of Trogmorphy. Some of them are going to be a little baseline. But yes, a soft-spoken British man talking about X-ray technologies is sometimes good to lure someone to sleep. So. And thanks, is it Sounds for donating via the super thanks button. That's a great way to support us, so that we can bring you more boring stuff. Okay. This is part of it looks like a CBS documentary called Mental Illness. This is part 1, or reel 1. Enjoy.
From the colleges and universities of the nation, CBS Television brings you The Search to know and understand man and his work, the search for a richer, happier life for all.
You were telling me about the difficulties you were having with your work.
Well, yes, and I just got silent for a minute because it seemed like going over the same thing so much over and over again. And I was thinking of it again and started sort of a new approach. I was wondering because really it's been all the time that I haven't been able to be certain about things. I'd sometimes enjoy the work and sometimes not. I'd not be able to do well sometimes, but there was always a sort of consistent problem.
I'm Charles Romine. During this next half hour, we're going to probe the darkness of many private worlds, worlds that we have too long enshrouded in the half-light of misconceptions and ignorance. We're going to the very horizons of medical research in an investigation of mental disease, of new approaches in the treatment of mental illness. We're in the Psychiatric Department of the Tulane University School of Medicine in New Orleans, Louisiana, on the observer's side of a one-way mirror. We can see the people in that room clearly, but they cannot see us. We can hear what they are saying as, at the moment, their conversation is being tape recorded. This is Dr. Robert Heath, head of the Department of Psychiatry and Neurology here. Dr. Heath, what kind of an interview is this that we're watching?
Dr. Leaf is conducting a psychiatry.
You said, you used the word symbol before. I wonder whether you could amplify that.
Well, because it seems so impractical, unnecessary, and unrealistic. It's not something that I'm doing for my own sake. It certainly must mean something else to me because I've already actually, you might say, finished the work. It's not an avoidance of work itself because I've done all of the work that's required. I've done a good job, actually, but I just can't complete it. The completion of it is not the important part of the work. It's the important thing to me. This is very unrealistic. So to me, this is why I think it's a symbol of something. It's not what it is, actually.
The patient is suffering from a so-called compulsion neurosis. The symptoms are such that he's unfunctioning with maximum efficiency on the job. Now, he's been reporting for treatment 4 times a week for the last year and a half. He may have to be under treatment for another year before considered cured. Now, this term, neurosis, that we use describes a certain type of behavioral disorder. We also use another term, psychosis, to describe still another major group of behavior disorders.
Most of us have heard these terms, neurosis, psychosis, but what's the difference?
The main difference is that the neurotic patient is in excellent contact with his environment. He's living in the real world. He may have symptoms which cause him a great deal of pain, fears or compulsions, but he understands that they're illogical. And one of the principal things is that he's able to communicate in a logical way. And through this technique, he can gain some understanding into what has produced these symptoms. This is what we see going on here.
I hadn't thought about it much, but I do remember that certainly My father, one prominent memory about him was that he was very proud of never keeping a record of anything, never writing anything down, of being able to always have everything at his fingertips. And he sort of scoffed at the idea of people that needed to have files and files on all kinds of things. I hadn't really thought of that in some while now. But,
Through psychotherapy, many sessions like this, the patient gains insight into the underlying reasons for his disordered behavior. He can then change this and function more efficiently and is happier. But with psychotic patients, it's different. The psychotic patient is living in an unreal world. He misinterprets things he sees and hears. Communication is extremely difficult with him. For this reason, we often have to use other types of as adjuncts to psychotherapy. We'll talk about those later. In mental illness, as in many physical ailments as well, childhood influences are important, certainly not the whole story. However, this approach, treating the disease early and opportunities for prevention do occur when one deals with children. We might start by going through our child psychiatry unit.
Oh, that's an interesting kind of a gun. What kind is that going to be?
A machine gun?
Oh, machine gun really can shoot fast.
There's a child in treatment now. This is a child who had a serious problem. That's Dr. Marcus, who is director of the child psychiatry unit treating the child.
Can shoot a lot of people with that. Who do you feel like shooting?
I used to feel like shooting you.
Used to feel like shooting me.
Yeah,
Why did you feel like shooting me?
because I didn't want to come here, and I made up all kind of excuses not to come here.
You didn't like to come here. Has that changed any?
Yeah, since we've been friends, I like to come here.
You like to come here now?
Yeah.
Well, this child seems remarkably at ease. He looks like a very happy little guy. He looks very relaxed now. At the time he came into treatment, though, he was very disturbed. He'd had frequent temper tantrums. Not that temper tantrums in themselves are unusual, but he was having them much too frequently. He's now developed a very relaxed relationship with the therapist, but this has come about over the period of considerable time.
When my daddy reads the paper every night, I get so tired.
Daddy reads the paper at night?
Yeah, I get so tired of watching him reading. He was yelling for me to be quiet. And since I've come in here, my mama and daddy hadn't fighted much.
You're not fighting very much.
No. And my daddy takes me out and plays with me.
Oh, you're having fun with your daddy now. You all go out and have fun together?
Yeah, and now my mother and daddy don't fight as much when I come here.
Now, is there any difference between the way this child is playing here and the way he'd play at home? Well, not a great deal of difference in the way he actually is playing here, but there is a big difference in what goes on because the therapist is trained to understand the meaning of the gestures he makes in his play. Also, the therapist, through his training, can manipulate the play to help him towards a healthier pattern of behavior.
I wonder if you didn't have some fears of getting hurt when you used to stay at home and play by yourself.
Yeah, one time I got hurt. Well, one time up in Mill Valley, me and my brother and the girl was playing keep away, and I was playing, and I was running over to Chris, and it was the, fence there, but it was all old, and he moved out the way, and I flew over the fence, and it was high too. It was a 2-story house, and I cracked my head. It goes.
Wow, you really cracked your
And I
head,
had to go to hospital, and they fixed me up.
Well, we have to stop now, Kim. Now, that little boy seems very normal to me in his play and behavior. Would you consider him a disturbed child?
Well, not disturbed, but he's had a problem. Dr. Marcus can clarify that for us.
We wouldn't ordinarily feel that a child has a problem just from one interview or one scene. Ordinarily, we have to know the history and to understand whether or not the child has really had a lot of unhappiness or whether he has had marked problems in socializing and the general sphere of maturation.
Well, now, I noticed a certain preoccupation he seemed to have with guns, with injury, with falling. Now, does all that tie in?
Exactly. This boy's fears of being hurt were so intense that he wasn't able to socialize with the children in his age group. And we feel that whenever children are very unhappy or have difficulties in socialization or in work at school or getting along at home, that therapy would be warranted. Now, actually, we teach the doctors to understand the child's play and the verbalizations that take place during play. This is the child's way of communicating to the therapist, and the therapist in his training learns to understand this and to help the child to uncover these disturbed, hurt feelings, fears, and sometimes marked angry feelings that keep him in his development.
Again, I noticed that emphasis on communication. Now, it would seem that just talking in itself provides a great relief.
Well, I think we can illustrate this best if we drop in and watch the treatment briefly of this adult patient.
So I don't save $10 out of my paycheck, so what? But how can I get to that feeling of relaxation no devil may care?
Do you think this is likely to occur very quickly in psychotherapy?
No, of course not, it's not. But I don't want it to take 10 years either.
Actually, psychotherapy can be described as the use of human influence to move a patient who is sick towards help. The doctor, through skillfully questioning the patient and through his knowledge and understanding of the basis of behavior, is able, through these questions, to make it clear to him and also to the patient as to the manner in which they are ineffectively adapting to life situations.
Well, then, excuse me, then the questions he's asking in there are intended to bring out the symptoms of whatever is disturbing the patient?
Correct. Bring out the symptoms, make them clear to the patient, and also influence the patient towards changing these towards a more healthy pattern.
I'm not, don't get the impression that I'm more or less mentally bawling you out because I'm not getting results like this and I'm not walking out here on eggs instead of being, well, you looked at your watch, I saw the glance. I don't expect miracles overnight, but I would if you can help me to unearth something in my life that'll just take a little bit of weight off of here.
What feeling did you have when I looked at my watch?
Time, he wants to get rid of me.
Now the patient is expressing a great deal of hostility towards her therapist. She's angry because he isn't able to offer her an immediate magical cure for her difficulties. This is a very illogical demand on her part. By seeing it come up in the psychotherapeutic situation this way, she'll be able to recognize what she's searching for, this inferior pattern. The doctor will too. Then by asserting his influence on her, he'll help to change this and move her towards a more healthy pattern of behavior.
All this is avoiding the issue, isn't it? I don't want to be the boss, but I think sometimes that I am more of a dominating person than Nate is. But I don't want to be. And I think about most things that we decide them together. I mean, about big expenditures of money and things like that. I'm upset today because Nate's brother called this morning at 7 and said his dad is real sick in the hospital again. And Nate flew up to Tulsa. His dad has had another heart attack. And I've just been upset all day about that.
Now, this is an interesting phenomenon now. She is showing this upsurge of emotion. She's trying to displace it onto something real and tangible. Actually, that isn't the real cause of this affective response she's having. She'll begin to get insight into that very shortly.
But many people have to meet with difficult situations. They're not all neurotic, are they?
No. Everyone has to adapt to various difficult situations every day. When a person doesn't adapt effectively or is inefficient in his method of meeting problems, then we call him neurotic. Now, the patients that we've seen thus far are largely those suffering from neurotic disorders, and the treatment of choice for this group is psychotherapy. Other types of patients, the psychotic patients, who usually have to be hospitalized for varying periods sometime during the course of their illness, are usually treated by other techniques as well as psychotherapy. There are over 700,000 patients in mental hospitals throughout this country. It amounts to over 50% of the hospital beds occupied by people with all types of illnesses. Behavior of these patients varies considerably. Some, the ones we call catatonic stupor patients, don't talk at all.
Hello, Betty. How are you today? Will you shake hands? Come with me, Betty. Come with me, Betty.
The patient behind the one-way mirror now is a paranoid schizophrenic. Like most such patients, he appears quite normal. You can sometimes spend an awful lot of time with them without noticing anything at all abnormal. The paranoid has a rather systematized delusional system, or one dominating idea, in other words, he can talk along and appear to be quite normal unless we touch on one central subject area, so to speak. When this happens, then his content of speech can become very bizarre.
Well, now, what happened? What was it that brought you into the hospital, Hubert?
Well, I took some sleeping pills, 2 bottles.
You took 2 bottles?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
No. I just got mad and took them.
You got mad and took them?
Yeah.
Did anybody tell you you should take them?
No, nobody told me to take them. I just got mad and took them.
You got mad?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, I already couldn't stand them, so I took the sleeping pills.
You couldn't stand what?
He couldn't stand me. God.
God couldn't stand you?
Mm-hmm.
God couldn't stand you?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Well, no. Yeah, I'm on his head. I'm on God's everywhere. I wasn't on before, but I'm on now.
You're on God?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
I didn't believe in God before.
Oh, I see. You didn't believe in God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you do now.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing to notice, and perhaps the most dramatic thing about the paranoid, is that he can be talking on with this extremely bizarre content, but he's convincing. He doesn't look ruffled at all. It would be very difficult to know if there was anything wrong unless you paid very strict attention to the bizarreness of the content of his speech.
Well, how did you know that God was angry with you?
Well, he told me he couldn't stand that.
He couldn't stand you?
Yeah.
You heard him talking to you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What did he say?
Said he couldn't stand me.
Now, that was a typical paranoid patient. The outstanding thing to notice was how he lived in a virtually unreal or delusional world. They interpret things differently than we do. Now, It's awfully hard to understand this, but you just think of yourself and the way you feel when you first wake up in the morning, when you're not quite awake, yet you're not fully asleep.
A little groggy, maybe you don't know where you are, something like that.
Right, and you tend to misinterpret things. If you can imagine doing this all day long, every day, you get some idea, as best we can understand it, of the way the schizophrenic feels.
Now, how do you make your diagnosis, Dr. Heath? How do you determine the nature of a patient's disorder?
Well, putting a diagnostic label on a patient isn't too difficult a thing to do. However, as part of our workup, we like to know more about the nature of how the particular illness came on in this particular patient. And for that reason, we conduct a rather extensive series of tests running over a period of several weeks. In this routine, each patient is observed over a period of time. They're observed in their ward behavior, and extensive observations are also made through individual interviews by the psychiatrist. Various types of psychological tests are also given to each patient. There are tests which measure intelligence, other tests which measure speed of reaction time, and still other tests which help us to evaluate the personality of the particular patient. We also do the so-called brainwave test routinely on each patient. Now, in this test, small electrodes, they're actually little soldered discs, are placed on the scalp of the patient. And these pick up a type of electrical impulse which is amplified and appears on paper in the electroencephalograph machine as brain waves. Routinely, every patient receives injection of a drug known as sodium amytal. This drug is has a hypnotic effect. It tends to relax the patient. In the case of severe schizophrenic patients, they frequently tend to become more normal so that it's possible to establish contact with them so that we can discuss their problems with them. On other occasions, with patients who aren't completely out of contact, there's a tendency for them to relax more so that they can tell us about things that they would like to tell us. On other occasions, it helps them, too, to recall things that they've completely forgotten themselves.
It's not bad. I was sick because I was home. Well, thanks to the Lord that I was.
I can't hear you.
Thanks to the Lord that I was here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, with your help,
Yes, we'll help.
you all can help me to get straight.
Now, you tell us how we can help you to get straight.
Help me, please. Help me with restoring my
Help you to restore your health.
Yeah. I looked at this like in life.
This has been the first of a two-part report on the work of the Psychiatric Department of the Tulane School of Medicine. Next week, we will return to report on the research being done by the faculty and staff here in developing new techniques for treating the major mental illnesses, schizophrenia, and the other more serious mental disturbances. Again, we will see patients, mentally ill patients at the psychiatric clinic and hospital, who, in their desire to help others, wanted to appear before our cameras in the hope that they could, in this way, aid in removing the stigma attached to mental illness.
That Young American film logo, that was a company that distributed a lot of films that they didn't make to schools And so that was probably distributed to university. Yeah, this was one of the more adult things that I've ever seen that had the Young American logo on it. Somebody's asking, will there be any Juneteenth films tomorrow? That's a great question. I will have to look and see. I'm not quite sure I have anything that fits, but I will look nonetheless. Anyways, thanks for watching. And the internet held up. Nobody drove over the internet cable, which is stretched more than a block away from the archive. And I don't know when they're going to fix it. It might be smack dab at lunchtime tomorrow. I have no idea, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. I have been playing with the streaming show software, and I think I've got it to where it's going to announce what is being shown as we're watching it, that it'll be shuffling, but it'll also be saying, like, this is the name of what we're watching, which is something that I've been trying to figure out, and some of you have been requesting, so thank you so much for that. I might start up, I've got a couple things I'm trying out, but I might start up this 24/7 thing, which we're just going to call the AV Geeks 16mm stream, because I like the feel of that. It's a stream, a gentle stream of 16mm. Yeah, I might start that up within the hour, and then we'll just go until we can't anymore, and we'll be doing it on this channel, and then also on Twitch. So there you go. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for your contributions, your support, the thumbs up, the super thanks, buying us coffee at ko-fi.com, or go to patreon.com/avgeeks. Great ways to support us. So, yes, I will use terms to differentiate between the two so that you will know. Like, I will always say that the lunchtime show is the lunchtime show. There. I am done reading comments, but I will see you tomorrow. Everybody take